Mixing is not the magic pill most producers think it is. However, it will make you a better producer because it will teach you where certain things go in the track. It'll also teach you to chill out because when you're going to mix something with 20 things playing at once, you're not going to have a good time, my friend. And as well, as you start to hear better music, you start to realize they don't have many elements going on. That allows for a cleaner mix, a more pushed mix, certain sounds coming together, not a bunch. I have this track here, which we're going to use to teach it. I was going to work on it. I thought, why not share it with the world? Now, this is a collab with a fellow ninja. One of you guys submitted to the feedback stream. And we're going to work on this section here. Now, I want you guys to hear this. And then we're going to talk about the tools we're going to use today to make space for everything.
You can't stand the way I'm good with all my demons. You don't like me cause I'm just another heathen. If I don't share your opinion, am I evil? Some kind of creature, a disbeliever. I can see it in your eyes, the way you judge me. The way I don't fit in your box, it makes you crazy. Do you believe in all the words that you were preaching? Or would you leave me if I were bleeding?
Okay, so we're going to work on that section, but just so I don't blue ball you, let's just hear the pre-chorus of the song.
And I used to believe in the things that you say to. Lie after lie, open my eyes wide.
The tools we're going to use today are very simple. We're just going to use a standard EQ and a utility from Ableton. We're going to use a utility as the stereo image controller. I like to put a lot of stuff mono. I feel like a lot of producers don't appreciate the stereo field as much as they should. If you don't know what the stereo field, I can easily open up the Ozone Imager. And the stereo field is like a producer's playground. Think of it as a canvas. We have essentially the sides to play with and the mid signal here. And then I don't know why there's noise happening. I think there's a ghost in here or something. ESP, my friends. So if we hear the vocal, that vocal is very monophonic or very centered.
You can't stand the way I'm good with all.
If we hear what we're going to work on, like the pads are very wide. We're going to have to make space for all of this. If you have a bunch of stuff to add atmosphere, you have no atmosphere because everything just sounds like a pile of poop flying at you. And you have to make sure that everything has a purpose in the song. If you ever wondered how Ben Bomer, etc., get that feel in the stereo image, it's clean. It's thoughtful, it's present decisions that the guy makes. Just good sounds in essence, and not a bunch of Hail Marys, sounds combining together to try and do that. So that's the first tool we're going to use as a utility because we can collapse to the left or to the right signal, making it more sense. From there, we're going to use the EQ of Ableton. I love using it. I usually use the EQ in Ableton to take away. If I want to add frequencies, I'll sometimes do it with Ableton, but I'm not going to lie. I allow myself to play with fancy plugins like the Acoustica stuff, like, the analog emulation stuff. But I recommend you use that stuff once you understand how to use the Ableton EQ proper because boosting with those guys is a little easier and a lot more forgiving than it is with the EQ8 in Ableton, believe it or not. Okay, now the Ableton EQ, very simple to use. We can right-click over sample if you want higher quality. What does that do? I don't know. I usually say it's over sampling. Maybe someone can help me out in the comments. I haven't read the manual all the way. So from here, EQ8 in Ableton is what we would call a parametric EQ. Point being, I call it the surgeon EQ. It's very, very specific, and that's the problem with it. Sometimes being too specific doesn't allow for the EQ to boost in a very musical way, which just means very broad way. So again, we can use Ableton EQ by moving the frequency. We can increase the gain, decrease the gain. We're going to be decreasing to make space for stuff today. And the quadrant is how wide you're boosting by. Usually when you're reducing, you want to go for more high quadrant cues, more pointy, like a surgeon, removing a nipple. And you can see you can move it and it looks like a finger too. So very simple. And then if you want to boost, I usually recommend you go broad with the boost. So the first important thing is the vocal. It will always be the vocal. I want to see where the vocal sits.
You don't like me cause I'm just another heathen.
There are two pieces of information I'm hearing when I hear this vocal. Number one, the frequency is taken up. Number two, it's down the center. So now we know that the vocal lies down the center and it's taking this up. Okay, so the first thing is the vocal is always my priority. Okay, so I'm going to use a mid-side EQ. And I'm going to look at the vocal. And you can see the vocal is very heavy at around 310. That's probably where this sound is going to conflict with the vocal, because they're both going to try to take that frequency down the center.
If I don't share your opinion, am I evil? Some kind of creature, a disbeliever. I can see it in your eyes, the way you judge me.
Okay, and you can see when I do that cut on the sound, it also feels like it got wider, right? Because now our ears, the image, it's more spread out. The sides are louder than the center signal, and that usually makes it sound wider to our ears. It looks like I don't think I have to do anything else. I will present this idea to you that one of my mentors a long time ago told me. He says if you remove something from a sound, you have to add it back elsewhere. Where you choose to add it back, you can add it back here on the sides, etc. I'm going to choose not to do that, and as well, I'm going to ease up on this reducement there.
I'm good with all my demons. You don't like me cause I'm just another heathen. If I don't share your opinion, am I evil?
Okay, so that sound is done. From there, there's another sound playing here at the same time, which is a synth ARP run. So now this is where it starts to get a little complicated, but we'll be fine.
I'm good with all my demons. You don't like me cause I'm just another heathen. If I don't share your opinion,
okay, so there's a lot of conflict here, obviously, the ARP and the vocal.
I'm good with all my demons.
So let's make way for this.
I'm good with all my demons. You
We
don't
also know this ARP's going to fight with the pad there, so we want to be careful. This ARP goes all the way up to 495.
I'm good with all my demons.
And again, all of these sounds are playing at the same time, and they all go away at the same time, okay? So it makes it kind of simple to do this tutorial, right? So with that ARP,
I'm good with all my demons. You don't like me cause I'm just an
if first with the pad, right, like this break, we're going to have to also cut here because, again, we have the ARP.
I'm good with all my demons. You don't like me cause I'm just another heat.
From there, I'm also going to mono the ARP because there is a bit of stereo width to it, and I'm going to use the utility to do that. I learned this from Kashmir a long time ago. It's to collapse to the left or to the right instead of collapsing the signal down to mono, because when you collapse down to mono this way, you're grabbing the left and right and you're putting them on top of each other. The sound is wide for a reason, and a lot of the times you don't know if the producer or the sound itself uses the Haas effect. So to avoid any form of phase issues, we just collapse to one side. Now you do want to check both sides.
I'm good with all my demons. You don't like me cause I'm just another heathen.
From there we have more chords. I don't know what this is.
I'm good with all my demons. You don't like me cause I'm just another heathen.
So we have that nice, beautiful, like deep sound, which sounds like it has a nice seventh on top of it. So
I'm good with all
I'm already removing all of this because, again, we already know the vocal's taking that up. We know the ARP is there too down the center. This is down the center. The hard thing now is this.
I'm good with all my demons. You don't like me cause I'm just
That's part of the sound is nice. Is it needed is the question. We don't know. So what I'm going to do is actually going to reduce a bit.
I'm good with all my demons.
Like so.
You don't like me cause I'm
Now notice that we have low end now. So that means that this top guy, we probably better off removing some of the low end as well.
I'm good with all my demons. You don't like me cause I'm just another heathen. If
Okay, as we go along, there's atmosphere.
I'm good with all my demons. You don't like me cause I'm just another heathen.
Okay. Now the other thing I like to do is I like to look at span.
I'm good with all my demons. I'm good with all my
And this is where mixing is going to help you become a better songwriter, because as you kind of see already, the mids are very clogged, okay? There's an ARP there. There's a pad there already. There's a respace down in the below with a bit of mids, right? So this guy, the Angels Atmos,
You can stand the way I'm good with all my demons. You don't like me cause I'm just another heathen. If I don't share your opinion, am I evil?
is it needed is the question. What I can do is also I can pitch it up by 12 to place it somewhere else.
The way I'm good with all my demons. You don't like me cause I'm just another heathen. If I don't share your opinion, am I evil?
And as I do that, I want to be sure to be in complex flow. Control that. Now this makes a bit more sense, and this is where you become a better songwriter, because if you know that the mix, again, you already have everything else clogged, then this guy is only going to exist in a higher frequency. Now I have an issue here because I like the ARP sound, but the ARP sound is not sounding right anymore. In fact, you can see it's a little too resonaty, so we're going to lower that down. So for this, I lied. I'm actually going to use a plugin because there's no other way to make this work. I have two GoFoss, or I can use Suit 2 to control the resonances. With GoFoss, and I'll use GoFoss because Suit 2 everyone has, so they already know how to use that. Just use this, Team. Maybe this is going to be one of those sounds that we have to allow wide. And gonna go mid-side. Mids. Yeah, there we go. Wide is better, I think. Now let's see how that sounds.
You can't stand the way I'm good with all my demons. You don't like me cause I'm just another heathen. If I don't...
Since it's on the sides now, it's in the sound, it has like a very specific frequency range. Then maybe I should allow for that to happen on the atmosphere here.
You can't stand the way I'm good with all my demons. You don't like me cause I'm just another heathen. If I don't share your opinion, am I evil? Some kind of creature? See it in your eyes, the way you judge me, the way I don't fit.
We have a new sound that comes in now, which is this guy. So we have that auto panning already in the EQ. Probably want a bit of reverb on that. Let's see if we can send it to B. You can hear that it lingers for a little too long, especially for what it's doing. So we're just going to grab that tune and we're going to use the Ableton engine to grab the transients. And we're just going to gate it this way by using this. A lot cleaner, more tighter. We don't need all that length on it because we already have so many pads and the fucking vocal. Damn, I just got demonetized. Hold up. We're going to allow for it to take the highs.
Disbeliever, I can see it in your eyes, the way you judge me, the way I don't fit in your box, it makes you crazy. Do you believe in all the words that you were preaching, or would you leave me if I were bleeding?
It also sounds like that respace. We might have to remove some of the low end. On the sides, we don't want any low end at all. Let's remove that. Yeah, we're just gonna get rid of the sides on it. Okay, so I did a little bit of work on the one we were working on, and now we're gonna hear the original one, and then I'll play the new version back, and you guys can hear the difference. I'll also comment on what I hear.
You can't stand the way I'm good with all my demons. You don't like me cause I'm just another heathen. If I don't share your opinion, am I evil? Some kind of creature, a disbeliever. I can see it in your eyes, the way you judge me, the way I don't fit in your box, it makes you crazy. Do you believe in all the words that you were preaching, or would you leave me if I were bleeding? Who can't stand the way I'm good with all my demons. You don't like me cause I'm just another heathen. If I don't share your opinion, am I evil? Some kind of creature, a disbeliever. I can see it in your eyes, the way you judge me, the way I don't fit in your box, it makes you crazy. Do you believe in all the words that you were preaching, or would you leave me if I were bleeding? And I used to believe in the things that...
Now between both, there's a big difference. And again, everyone's gonna have... Now between both, there's a big difference. Obviously, the second version sounds a lot cleaner. The low end's a little bit better. There was one thing I did. I turned the ARP back instead of being up an octave down, just so that we have kind of like a fair comparison. The number one thing though that I did that probably just made it sound a lot better for sure was like the respace. So I realized that one of the pads we had a low end information, which I believe was this one. So I decided to get rid of it because the low end also is doing some weird things on it, which usually we would call beating. You can see that it moves like this. when you have two sines, let's say, and you detune them, they're in phase, but since they're at different pitches, they move at different speeds, and eventually they will become polar opposites, and they cancel out and create a beating effect. Now from here, the next thing to do would be to start to boost frequencies on sounds, because now we've made space for them. We can boost on the ones that are taking up the space in this particular section of the song. It's very important, again, that you look at the whole picture, okay, because that will allow for it. But at the end of the day, remember, the vocal is the most important thing. So I wanted to make this video just so that you guys have an idea on how we would approach mixing something. In essence, this is one part of it, making space for everything. I think it's the strongest part that many people miss. At the same time, as you see, we have to do a lot of these things in order to make everything fit. So the question then comes, do we need all the atmosphere? Do we need all those elements? That's a question that, again, you guys can answer for yourselves. Some will say yes, some will say no, some will say it's needed, some will say yes, it's worth to just make space. Again, I'm curious to see what you guys think. But from there, this is why this will make you a better songwriter, because then you know when enough is enough. You don't need to add more stuff. And if you do, you will look at the overall picture, what is missing, the highs, the mids, maybe low end. And then from there, you will make better decisions on what sounds to put in your music. With that being said, if you guys enjoyed this video, consider supporting the channel over at evilsounds.com. Again, my tutorials and my sound banks are supported by producers like Afrojack, David Guetta, Mal P, Space 92, Lost Frequencies, Biscuits, West End. If you know these names, they're big names. I'm proud of it. I'm glad they find the videos helpful, and hopefully you guys do as well. And if you guys want to continue your knowledge forward, consider watching this video here. Tons of good knowledge. And with that being said, you guys have a good night.